Welcome back, everyone, to Merge Conflict, your weekly developer podcast, all things in the world of software development. Today, and always, I am one of your hosts, James Montemagno. And today, and always, is with me, the one and only Frank Kruger. How's it going, buddy?
Hi, James. It is another day, so I will be with you. I like to think I'm with you every day, but I'll be with you just today.
I guess for the next 30 minutes or so, you'll be with me, and then we'll depart into the ethers of the evening, and we'll roast and toast in the Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
Today, I figured what we would do is we would talk about polish.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, I've tried to polish copper pipes before. You have to get a whole different chemical and you need a buffing pad.
Oh.
It's like a real rabbit hole to go down to get something shiny. I am looking forward to talking about different abrasives to use and what stages, what sandpaper grits. Polish is important.
Polish is important. I want to call out that there is this, I don't know if you've seen this. It's called impeccable.style. Do you know about this at all? Have you heard about this?
No, but I love the URL already. It's literally impeccable.style. Love it.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know the history of it, but it has about 40,000 stars on GitHub. It's this beautiful, impeccably designed website. It is by Paul Backus, who...
Backus.
I don't know what exactly he does, but...
The god of partying. Awesome.
Oh, it works at Google. Yeah. Works at Google, or at least on Google, or something with Google. Anyways, this was integrated into the GitHub Copilot app. So there's a /impeccable. And there's a few things that are kind of fascinating here. I don't want to talk about different parts of fit and finish. And the first one is design, but I actually don't want to spend that much time on design because that's not the fit and finish I want to talk about today. I want to talk about, are you doing an XE or an MSIX? Are you trimming? Are you ready to run in? This is the fit and finish. But there's kind of these two files. You know, we know about agents.md. You know about agents.md. You know, the instructions.
I live on agents.md. It's my only escape hatch from the insanity of AIs.
Agents.md, you're my only hope. We know about instructions. We know about skills. We know about all these things. There's actually a product.md and a design.md. Have you heard about these at all?
Ooh, no. I'm always curious which models or which harnesses, I should say, pick up which files, because honestly, it's getting a little confusing these days. But no, are these Copilot files? Copilot picks them up, or is it more of a standard?
I believe it's a standard. And I believe maybe it's coming from Google Labs, I want to say. At least the design.md. I'm not sure about the product.md, but these are two files in which Impeccable uses. The product.md is pretty straightforward. It's your product, I'm pretty sure. Like that's what it is.
You know, when I first started using agents, I was really dumb. I used to put all the info in readme.md because I'm like, certainly the agent will just go and read the readme. No, they never do. They just don't. They like to shoot from the hip. They don't know what product you're working on. They don't bother to look at what repo you're actually in.
Yeah, so, no idea.
That's kind of funny. I wonder if it's just that metadata. I'm just making this stuff up, but it used to crack me up how they would just not care.
Yeah, it says that in general, it defines the product's purpose, vision, scope, and structure. Think of it as a source of truth for what a product is and why it exists. So what are goals, non-goals, core features, things like that. You can think of it as like a shared mental model that people are contributing to, features, things like that. So they're in there. So it's just like, here's what it is.
I just dump all that in agents.md, so it's getting that every time. But yeah, that's it. It's probably a better place for it. So what do I put in my agents.md then?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't think it has any implementation of what is here's what iCircuit is, which I think I'd put in my README, to be honest with you. But it feels as though
read it.
I think that with this Impeccable, it's like product is the why and design is how it's designed. So it's the interaction rules, design systems, UX principles, visual language, things like that. But anyways, this Impeccable is a set of skills, I think, is what's in the box. And you can have it do layouts and audit, critique your design. You can have it bolder, quieter, more optimized, adapt different styles, things like that are in there. And have design palettes and color palettes and font palettes. And it's this almost like a brand book for your application, which makes sense. And often we also do put inside of our agents.md or custom instructions file. But I believe when you're using something like this, the whole idea is to move it out of the story and then still have the hey, I want you to code this way versus I'm designing this thing. Because you don't always need to worry about the design if you're working on, let's say, a function that's trying to combine a web, audio, video, and screencast feed into one single source of truth. It's not going to care about your design on the implementation there, for example, if that makes sense.
It might, the design doesn't just mean whether you use gradients or not. Designs can be data flow or user flow through your app. So actually, I don't know, maybe you have a weird bug where it pops up like a confirmation dialog a few seconds after you click the record button. Maybe that should be in design. I think that's a little place where graphic design, user interface, and user experience, all this stuff is a little bit mergy. So design.md, I'm actually curious, does it include user flow through the app?
It's a good question. I think that we probably need to dive deeper into it because I've only started to mess around with it. But inside the Git Copilot app, you can do impeccable in it. It'll install, I think it's a whole NPX package design system, things like that, have it work on your system. But I think what I was really fascinated about in doing when we think about, this polish, this fit and finish, is this final mile. We've probably talked about it 1,000 times, but I'm interested because we talked about Windows development last week. And I'm also going through little polish steps. And I'll give you one example, Frank. So my application, Tiny Clips, is a menu / tray application. And on Mac, it's pretty standard as far as what you can do in the menu bar. You get a drop down.
Yeah.
Is
Nothing
there.
Else.
I guess, is there a custom user interface that you can put inside said dropdown? I guess you can put images. Can you pop up anything there?
It's a little bit weird. I actually can't answer that directly, other than I can say, yes, you can, because you can intercept the menu opening and then you can slap any old window there if you want, but then you're not guaranteed to get the right user interaction. Dismissal, the way, tracking of the mouse cursor and that kind of stuff. Because I've certainly seen people put arbitrary UIs up there, but as far as I can tell, it's a little bit of a hack. A proper NS menu, a proper menu is definitely the way I think most users expect those kinds of apps to work. But it's Mac. You can create a window and you can move that window wherever the heck you want it. So
that's true.
You can really do anything.
Well, I was looking at Power Toys on Windows because I'm also used to the tray icons where you click, actually more right click, and it brings up a list, basically a context menu of things and windows of things in which you can do. I never really had thought about, because again, it's built in. It's easy to do. It's the built-in mechanism.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, on Windows, you can do the same thing that you're talking about on Mac, I guess, is intercept these calls and do whatever you want, but there's work to do there. And Power Toys has this beautiful widget gallery almost. It's here's a 3x3 grid of things that you commonly use. You can customize. I was I want that for Tiny Clips, right?
Yeah.
I want it to be beautiful little icons and make the little thing work,
I want to correct myself already because an NS menu item, like a menu item, can just be an arbitrary view also. So you don't even have to do the window hack I just said. It just occurred to me. You can put any old view you want into an item. And instead of text, it'll just be, so you could throw your whole UI into one NS menu item. And that'd probably be honestly the cleanest way to guarantee you would get all the positioning correct and all that stuff. Cool.
Yeah, because I'm looking here at some apps and some of them do intercept. And Control Center is a super weird one with a Qt app that kind of pops up. And there's a few other weird ones, but they are atypical in general comparatively. But that's fascinating to think about. But I think that's the type of fit and finish that I was thinking about, right? It's a small details that probably don't matter. It probably doesn't matter that you can right click and a little menu comes up and you say take screenshot. But to me, I was it's not as elegant in this modern 2026 when I have these AI agents can do that stuff. So I did go through that effort and energy to make that happen. And I thought that was really unique. Another little fit and finish that I thought about for design are things that, these are things that I'm not sure that the agents are thinking about, right? Which is why I think this design stuff is interesting. I think the stuff that we'll talk about, packaging and distributing, is fascinating. But there's some things, for example, in the Tiny Clips app that I've been building out, that when you go and you select a region, it has this little bar and it'll allow you to select your audio, your webcam, your mouse clicks if you want them, and then a little countdown timer. And as I was adding features, it got bigger and bigger, and it would just add stuff. Basically, just add stuff, right? And there's little things like, for example, on Mac and Windows, I said, hey, it'd be really nice that if someone decided to enable the webcam, we give them options there. Because like for the microphone, it's easy. Its microphone is pick your mic. There's not much else you're really doing there. There's probably, you could control the audio volume or something else, but it's like, it is what it is. But for webcam, there's placement. Like I was going to allow different placement in corners. I was going to allow sizes. I was going to allow if you wanted like a circle or a rectangle or just a square and like what the rounded corners would be. And I have these in the settings menu, but then I wanted to be on demand. And sure enough, the first time I did it, the agent was just like, right? And then I was like,
yeah.
Dang it, now I got to put on my design hat. How would I do it?
Yeah.
How would I make this look? So I started bopping around every app that I could think about and how it was displaying and doing widgets. And I did come across just a little gear icon. And the gear icon next to it with a little chev, when you open it, opens a little menu and it has the options and you can select them. It's very nice.
But, yeah.
So it's a little details. Like, could I have had this huge bar? Yes. But to me, it just wasn't elegant in a way, if that makes sense.
Oh no, I feel you because I've been for my fit and finish. I've been focusing on like the toolbar in my app, where toolbars have gone through a lot of different variations on Windows, and so part of it is me catching up with like what's the expectation now. Did you know ribbon? It's not a thing anymore. So no more ribbons. But all toolbars kind of look like single page ribbons now, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I've noticed exactly what you said. Like AIs are good at like making a functional UI. Like it's going to put a button up there and it's going to have an icon, but it's not good at layout. It's not good at white space management or, make this one small, make this one big, because like this is the important one. These ones aren't so important. It's really bad at icon selection for whatever reason. They're just not trained on it or something. It picks the worst things there. So I feel you. I think that's, I think I bring it up every few weeks. Like, I mean, that's the last large domain for these AIs is user interface, because, I mean, they seem to be able to solve every coding challenge you give to it. But my goodness, even Fable generates, in my opinion, terrible UIs, especially for native apps.
Yeah, the button like click on and off is a great example, because I have that in this app. And when the AI agent decided to do it, it was like, okay, I'm going to put like the system audio. I'm going to put your audio. And I'm just going to make them the same icons and like you'll figure it out. And I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, well, make it a mic. And then it was like, it was a mic when it was on, but it was like not a mic. I was like, no, make the mic with the line through it. So then it did it. And then I was like, okay, like, and then I was like, then there was like another one for like the mouse, like a mouse, because you can add little mouse clicks. Yeah. And it just made it a star. I was like, don't make it a star. I'm like making a mouse. And then it did an SVG where it made a mouse with like little things. I was like, no. I was like, stop what you're doing. Stop. I was like, there's got to be an icon built in that is just a mouse or a cursor, whatever it is. And it's all like, oh yeah, there is. I was like, what are you doing? What would you say you do here? What would you say you do here? So it's those small things that like I think about at the end of the day is like, I'm going to look at that button. And that button better be awesome.
I hate to say, like, I really hate the world where we need 1,000 MCP servers to do any kind of development, but I feel like we kind of need like an icon MCP server, because they're driving me a little bit batty. Like, here's the concept I'm trying to portray, and here's your selection of icons. Choose one, and here, here's the native platform ones and all that kind of stuff.
Totally. Yeah. Like you're talking about the toolbars is like, it's the icons. It's same on the Mac. It's like, what icon do I use? Do I use this? Do I use that? Like what? It's like always picking the wrong ones. Well, did you figure out your toolbar crisis?
I do. And I'm having fun though, actually, because what I discovered was Windows has its own, so I got very used to SF symbols on Mac and iOS. Yeah. But I'm pleased to learn that there is an equivalent of that on Microsoft. There is the Sego symbol. How do you pronounce that one? I call it Sego, but
Sego UI.
Yeah. Well, there's MDL2 assets, which is the one introduced in Windows 10. And those are kind of your squared edge kind of icons. But for Windows 11, you're supposed to use Sego Fluent icons. And those have slightly roundier edges. There's pretty much the same icon set. There's 10 different ones in there. But those icons are pretty great, and it's taken me a while to find like a good way to browse them and put them into my app. But thankfully, now that I have that library, I have nice icons in the app, and I'm able to play with their sizes. You can't just say icon size 14, you have to put it in a view box, but whatever. I've learned how to do it. I've learned how to change the size of the icons. I make sure they get styled properly. So dark mode, light mode, all that kind of stuff. But the AI has been absolutely no help there. So that's all been manual work, but that's fine. I right now it definitely takes a human to do user interface.
Yeah.
These robots are no good at it.
I am curious and wondering if I had a decently better time because I had all of the WinUI custom agents installed on my machine. I don't know if you've installed them yet recently. You should really give it a try.
Yes, you're right.
Because I think if you just set that as your main agent while you're doing the work, it's going to look up the stuff. And what's kind of crazy about this is I now have this Swift app, and I also have the WinUI app. So I have Mac and Windows. I have a really fun agents.md file. Well, it's a custom instructions because I don't agents.md. I custom instructions. But I have the first line after the name of the project. I say, if I don't specify Mac/Swift or Windows/WinUI app or both, ask me what we're working on today.
Yeah.
So now when I give it something, it's all like, oh, that's awesome. But what app did you want to talk about? And it'll pop up like Windows or Mac or both. So that's really, it's a fun one in general because I'm like, oh, what is it talking about? What was it talking about?
Well, it's funny because I put that in the agents.md now. I've learned I have to put the full product matrix and the UI matrix in agents.md. I'm like, here are the main, because my apps have 1,000 projects in them. I'm like, these are the main apps. This is the project for the Windows user interface. This is the project for the Mac interface. Here's the iOS interface. And that's helped a lot because now I can just say, we're working on Windows right now. Go at it, and it knows which projects to touch.
I think that there's somebody at... I'll have to find it for you. I think there's someone at, I want to say Cloudflare. I'm not positive. They have a repo. It's called I think it's called Mac -skills or something like that. I'm not positive. There's one of them. But for all intents and purposes, there's a bunch of skills about different design paradigms on Mac. And I haven't installed that one, but I've been thinking about it a lot recently because when I was using the GitHub Copilot app, I was soon working on this feature that was on multiple operating systems. So I came up with the plan. I said, map it out across Mac and Windows, what we're going to do here. And then when I said implement it, it actually fired off a bunch of background sessions, but it could assign custom agents to each session. So what it did is it assigned the sessions for Windows to the WinUI one. I thought that was so neat. Okay, last fit and finish from me, because we were talking about fit and finish in general, and you have a lot of things that I think you're going to go into, not just your toolbar, but I want to talk about sizes. And I actually want to talk nitty gritty on okay, what did we decide on our compilation? We talked about trimming, but what about ready to run? What about self-contained? What about dependence list? What's this? These are weird fit and finishes that only you and I care about. Is it 40 megs or is it 15 megs? Okay, no one cares.
It matters.
But I care. I care. I care. I refuse. I'll tell you, there was this, okay, fit and finish that actually Copilot helped me a lot on, by the way, is you have the Windows App SDK, which is the main thing. You have the WinUI components. There are two versions of this. There's a version 1.8, which is a stable, and a 2.x, I think 2.2, which is also stable.
Oh, let me tell you, I've learned the difference quite a lot. I've learned the difference now. Well, please continue.
So I didn't know, but I was trying to just use the latest because that's what I always do. And I ended up downgrading because WinGet, I think, only has 2.0 something on it to 1.8. And then I figured out a way to it didn't even matter what WinGet had. I figured out how to package it correctly. But I was like, oh, should I update? And Copilot went through the analysis of compiling it with both and breaking it down. And it said, no, maybe because my trimming wasn't working. It was don't use the newer one because it has all of the machine learning and AI stuff in it. And they're you're not using any of those APIs. So just you're going to add an extra 20 megs or 15 megs for no reason. But that was crazy. Okay, last fit and finish. That was a fit and finish.
It's more than that, but I'll talk about that too. Please continue.
The one thing that I think was my tiny little fit and finish is I have a settings dialog with nice little flyouts and stuff. And as I was working with the agent, I keep adding features. It just keeps jamming sessions, like settings into the thing. So it's this big list of settings that are unorganized. So I said, you know what? This is bothering me. I said, find natural groupings of
Great, yeah.
of controls. So put the camera stuff next to the camera stuff and the audio stuff next to the audio stuff, and go through all the settings and regroup them, please, for the love of all that is holy in settings. It's
and
the
put the
small
important
things
ones
that
at the
make me happy.
top. You know, there's little details like that. It matters.
What are users mostly going to use? If you don't know, ask me. I'll tell you what I use. Anyways, all right, back to packaging. Over here, let's get into the Windows packaging goodness. Over here.
I won't bore you completely, but I'll bore you a little bit. I want to address the AI thing because, the latest WinApp SDK, for whatever reason, it includes like a 20 megabyte Onyx thing and then like a bunch of Microsoft.ai and Microsoft.ml. They can't decide if it's AI or ML. And it just packages those automatically and even with the trimmer on. So there's some error with the trimmer where it just keeps picking them up. And anyway, I should probably write a little blog post because what I ended up doing is I just put package references to those specific packages and said, do not include these assets, private assets, exclude assets, all this stuff, because I'm like, I'm not touching that code. I don't want to ship it. I'm a weirdo. I like small files. I don't believe iCircuit should be 1.5 gigabytes. But Microsoft has other ideas. No, so it was actually a pain in the butt to get rid of those. It's really unfortunate that they forced those into the SDK, especially when trimming's not working. Now that said,
well, what I want to say is you should ask Copilot to do an analysis if you can just go and roll to the 1.88, and if there's analysis that actually makes it smaller or not, because the 1.8 whatever has all the same stuff in it, just minus that stuff. There might be other stuff in it, but I'm not positive. At least it did an analysis of my app, and it was like, cool, just use this until you use new APIs that you need. So I was like,
there's versions all over the place because like the WinApp SDK.WinUI is actually like version 2.2.3 or something crazy like that. I could look into that, but I really just wanted a fresh start. Like if 2.2 is what they're rocking, I want to be on 2.2. So I'm willing to do a few CS Proj hacks to get rid of the stuff that I want gone.
I'm interested because I would also just like to YOLO the latest because that's how I roll, but I do want to trim accordingly. Well, I guess how did you trim? Did you trim?
I gotta tell you, bro, I had to turn trimming off. For the life of me, I could not get trimming to work. So the biggest problem I'm having is WinRT stuff. WinRT is the base library that actually is running all this UI stuff on Windows. It's from Windows 8. Hi, Windows 8. You're never gonna go away. That has just basically, in my opinion, broken trimming support. And so I tried everything, like in XAML, if you use curly binding, that's bad. That uses reflection. You got to use curly x:bind. But x:bind has tons of bad stuff where it's not as sophisticated as curly binding. And so it was really making me chew up my app trying to convert everything over. And I converted everything over to x:bind and the stupid app was still crashing. And I was just like, you know what? Here's the deal. You're saving like, it's not that many megabytes you're saving because it's still bringing in huge chunks of WinRT even with trimming turned on. And it's WinRT that's taking up all the room. It's not your app. It's always the operating system that's taking up space. And in the case of WinUI, it's a bunch of auto-generated code over the WinRT interfaces. And so it's a perfect scenario for the trimmer to kick in, but for whatever reason, they got to work on their code and get WinUI trimming improved. So I just had to turn it off. I gave up on that one, mostly because my app was still small, even with trimming turned off. Because again, that stupid AI ML stuff was 30 or 40 megabytes all by itself. So like just getting rid of those dropped the app more than turning trimming on was dropping the app size, hilariously enough.
That makes sense. I think that my trimming is off. So
see?
I have okay, so debug is off. If not debug and self-contained equals true, which mine is not, or publish self-contained equals true, then trim. Else, if publish trimmed, then false. Okay, so I think mine is off.
That's
because
complicated. Too complicated.
I didn't
Simplify,
write
bro.
that CS proj. I didn't write that CS proj.
Yeah.
Well, because I also kind of went down this mechanism where I really wanted trim to be there.
Yeah.
And I think I was just like, I'm not going to bother it. Like, I'm just not going to.
Yeah. It's
do it,
annoying,
but I
because
want to.
I have trimming enabled on iOS and Mac OS, like, so I know my code can handle trimming. Well, that's not even true. A few of my libraries I had to mark as do not trim this. Just bring the whole thing in. Don't worry about it. It's a small library. Don't touch it. So it's a little bit frustrating, and honestly, I might revisit it when I get a little bit better at the debugging tools, so I can figure out exactly what's being stripped that's causing the trouble. So maybe we'll do a follow-up episode to this.
Yeah.
But I want to move on to self-contained and single file executable.
Okay. Yeah, because I went down a different route. I started down this route, and then I went a different route, and I'm curious about kind of where you landed at on this puppy.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal, James. I'm going to ship this thing on the store. So it kind of doesn't matter. I don't need to do the whole single executable deployment thing.
Yeah.
But what's always bothered me about all these new libraries and everything, especially WinUI, is how it always needs like an install script, so it can do like certificates and all this gross stuff to the machine. Because you try to bundle your app so that I could just email it to you, and it like generates an install PowerShell script and all this stuff. And it's just so gross, especially because I know how Windows works. It doesn't need any of that. That's all just modern security theater out of the security people. So I wanted, just as a personal mission, I wanted iCircuit.exe, no dependencies, nothing. Zip that puppy up, call it the dot app. The Mac world has really infected me. I want iCircuit.exe, nothing else. It's got the dotnet in it. It's got all its dependencies in it, everything.
Okay.
And it's mostly for testing, because I know the Microsoft Store totally supports beta testing and all that, but I personally just want my app to be one executable I can give to people. So I did it. I said, self-contain this puppy. Windows App SDK, self-contained, because it's a different property, because of course it is. And then I did a bunch of like property exclusions, because if you set some of these properties at the command line, it goes down into your dependent projects, and then they won't build because the WinApp SDK is a fragile mess. And so you got to like literally turn off like other properties into your dependencies. Fine, I know CS proj files. I can do that. I did that. And the last big one was, put this all into one.exe. I don't want just self-contained. I want single file, baby. This is what I want. One file. And I got it working, and my machine's chugging. I'm like, it's fine. I'm used to iOS builds. They can be slow. And it popped out. It's like, I built it for you, babe. I'm like, so good. I'm so happy. I'm so excited to see my iCircuit.exe. And without any joking, 1.25 gigabytes.
No way. No way. What did you include 100%. In this thing?
What was I including is the question. I'm like, AI, what the heck is going on here? Like, I know.
Analyze.
.net is not 1 gigabyte. WinUI is not 1 gigabyte. It's like 64 megabytes at the worst case. My code is not a gigabyte. So are we including a movie? I thought like maybe it's packaging all of Star Trek. Like, I don't know what's taking up a gigabyte here.
The AI decided in your CS project to randomly do Star Trek.mp4 and just include that into the origin story.
Raw, and it's not compressed, because it's better that way.
It's got to be 4K or 4K or bust. Right. I mean, it's basically a ripped Blu-ray.
So I'm like, AI, what is going on here? This can't possibly, like, I don't care what settings are wrong. Like, this makes absolutely no sense. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going to look into it. It disabled debug info. I dropped it down 10%. So it's at like 1.15 gigabytes. I'm like, well, I guess that's better, but no. Not good enough, babe. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to really look into it. I'm like, hey, why don't you really look into it? Maybe read some docs, do
Get
that
in
kind of
there.
stuff. Yeah. I'm like, just trying not to throw the computer across the room or anything like that. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, what if we turn off ready to run? Maybe it's ready to run. I'm like, it's not ready to run.
It's not ready to run.
It's just not. It's not. But I'm like, fine, bro, you do it. And then we went down a whole nother rabbit hole because turning off ready to run is a whole nother blah. Who cares? Whatever. We succeeded into it. James got that .exe down to 1.0 gigabytes. Oh my God.
Did you not just rename the exe to .zip, extracts that zip? What is in this thing? There's gotta be in there, right?
I actually wasn't sure what the format of that .exe was because I did turn on the property of please compress my single file app thing. I wasn't sure. Like usually in the world I'm accustomed to, it would be a resource. The resource would be compressed. It would decompress it into a temporary folder or whatever, and then do its magic there. But I'm like, I'm trying to do this from like the like you read the docs and you set the properties according to the docs kind of perspective. So I'm just a little bit flabbergasted. I'm a little bit amazed. And right, so we had turned off ready to run and all that stuff. I'm just like, there is something wrong here. So this is when I say we need some deep research. AI, why don't you figure out what's actually going on here and
get in there,
figure out what's actually in that exe, because it just gave up. It's just like, well, okay, sorry. So we had, if I didn't ask for an iCircuit.exe, I got a directory that was 190 megabytes. I'm like, okay, that's big. But that's reasonable because it's not trimming, it's not whatever. Yeah,
that's reasonable. It's because you probably got a bunch of dependencies. You're doing a bunch of stuff. You got like web, all this stuff. Yeah.
So it's bigger than I would like, but in this world of fave icons being 190 megabytes, I'm like, I'll deal with it. It's fine. But I'm like, why don't you crack open that exe and figure out what's actually in there? And it turned out, and I don't know if, by the way, this whole time I'm like deleting bin and obj directories constantly because I just assume that like maybe the script is dumb and the script is just picking up random files in the obj directory or something like that. So that was a theory. And it comes back and it's like, hey, I don't know why, but inside this exe is all the like store builds of the app in like an app packages. It's basically like taking the NuGet directory and just putting all of the NuGet packages directory into my executable for absolutely no reason. Yeah. So I don't know which of the many thousands of targets are in the project system, but one of them was doing something naughty and it was reproducible. This wasn't like some random bugs. Like I tried everything, cleaning it out left and right. But we finally put in this like little CS project of like, do not package files that start with like app packages or something like that. Wow. So it's a little bit of a hack. It's a hack I don't love. But again, this isn't going to be my main distribution point. This is me just wanting to prove that I can create a single executable version of the app.
Yep.
And what happened? Came out at 93 megabytes.
That's about what I would expect. Yeah.
Yeah. I know because like the Mac version of my app is like 30 megabytes. So I'm fine because I had trimming turned off. So I knew like WinUI by itself is like 64 megabytes just sitting there. So I already knew that.
And I think .NET still gets trimmed, right?
You would hope, because like there's, I should say there's full trim mode, partial trim mode, and no trim mode. And I think I at least have partial trimming turned on. So just not full trimming.
Yeah, there's like publish trimmed, and then there's like, I think there's other trim settings that are on by default automatically in .NET 10 that probably are doing other trimming of certain things and not like the extras. Because I went down the same route of tiny clips and I was doing, do I do a self-contained exe or do an MSIX? And I ran into the same thing. So the first time I did a self-contained exe, it was about 90 some odd megs. Okay. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I was like, all right, that's fine. But then I was talking to Burke and he's like, why is every Windows app 100 megs? That's what he goes. I was like, it doesn't make any sense. And I was like, well, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I went down some rabbit holes where I turned on and off a few things, XYZ, and I'll put it in MSIX. And I got it down to 60 megs. And I was like, that's okay. And I was running into some problems. I was like, can we improve this? And the first thing was like, just turn off ready to run. You don't need that.
You beat me to it. So that was the last thing I did. You know
Did you turn it
what?
back on?
No, I turned it off.
Oh, okay.
So I had ready to run on because all my publish and release builds were ready to run.
And if people don't know, ready to run is
.NET apps are intermediate language IL code, and ready to run basically runs the JIT on the dev machine and outputs a bunch of Intel x64 code or ARM64 code or x86 if you're living in 1995. it'll output all that. It'll precompile all that stuff. Yep. It's not as much as like an AOT does. Like it's not like the LVM AOT. It's not like native AOT, because like the JIT can still run, but it's pre-JITting the bulk of it, 80 or 90% of it, without messing with anything.
Also, were you doing one package that had like any CPU, both like x64 and ARM in it, or were you splitting that into two XEs that were separate? Because I was splitting them into two.
I'm splitting because on Mac I know how to do what's called a fat object model, like fat because it contains a bunch of architectures in it. But I'm not sure if Windows even supports that. I'm not sure what the state of the art is right there. Just
split it.
So I was very specific, one architecture per executable. And when I turned off ready to run, because it turns out, you know what, James? The JIT is fast.
Yeah.
Like I opened and closed the app 50 times to see if I could tell a difference between the ready to run version and the not ready to run version. Can't tell a difference. All right. Like, and I have a circuit simulator. It is running math code very quickly, hundreds of kilohertz. You know, games run at 60 frames per second. I run at 100,000 frames per second. So like I would be sensitive to this kind of stuff. And you know how much difference it made? None. Yeah. So it actually dropped the iCircuit.exe down to 71 megabytes.
Nice.
Very cool. So now we're properly rolling. 70 megabytes is fine. And again, this is not even trimmed. So I'm like, fine, done, sold. So if you have a small app that actually can be trimmed, I'm sure you can get your app down to like tiny town levels of size. And so I was very happy because finally I had iCircuit.exe with no dependencies, no .NET dependencies, no package dependencies, no user interface dependencies. As long as you had, I'm curious, I would like to try it out. Some version of Windows 10. I bet you I could even get it to run on Windows 8 if I tried hard, but thank God no one runs Windows 8. So it just felt good because it's been so long since I've been able to build a GUI app in Windows with no dependencies.
Yeah.
Because even today, like I'll download some 100 megabyte file and they're like, you got to install .NET. I'm like, then why is your app 100 megabytes? Like just include it all. So it felt really good to get there.
Yeah.
73 is big, or 71's big, but it's fine. It's fine.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I got mine down. It seems to be about like 10%, the R to R. I got mine down when I did the MSIX. I think it was like 50 each. And maybe I was doing an any CPU build originally. So it was 50 each. I was like, okay, that's pretty good. I was like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
I've already gotten in half. What else can I do?
Well, I want to interject real quick. I can't do any CPU either because I'm pulling in DirectX libraries like Direct2D, and those libraries are very whiny about architecture specifics. So I'm jealous of you that you're able to do any CPU, but I don't think it's in the cards for me because I'm pulling in DirectX.
Well, don't worry, because I'm not doing any CPU because I split that puppy up. It's half the size.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, and it was like turn off R to R. I was like, okay, what did I save? It was like, you save 5 megs. And I was like, nah. They're like, but then I was like, okay, well, should I? It's 5 megs. And they're like,
yeah.
They're like, they're like, hey, bro. They're like, your app is a system bar app that like starts in the background and no one cares about your app, so it's fine. And I was like, oh, sick burn, Copilot. Jeez Louise.
Did Copilot say that to you? Which model?
No,
I want names and addresses.
I was reading deep into the 5.5, the stack there.
I've been rocking 5.5 too.
It was a little saucy. But then I was like, okay, well, how do I go further on this? Because I can deliver this, fat MSIX. I said, what else is in here? It's like, well, inside of here, you still bundled said X and Y. And I was like, well, what else has I bundled? They're like, you've bundled not only the .NET runtime, but you've also bundled the WinUI, the Windows App SDK. They're like, because you're using MSIX, you can delay load those things. And MSIX, when you install it, will install those dependencies on demand if required from the App Store, from WinGet, or from anywhere else. And I said, okay, well, what's the user experience look like? And they did an analysis, and it was like, hey, bro, basically everybody has the Windows App SDK if they're on like modern Windows 11. Maybe if it's on Windows 10, they might need to install it. But they're like, don't worry, it's only a 10 meg install, and they'll install it once, and you'll be fine to go. But it does it automatically for them, right? It just opens it up, right? And then I was like, well, what about .NET 10? And it was like, no, it's probably going to install it no matter what. So I was like, okay. I was like, but I was like, okay, let's do the trade-offs, right?
Okay.
Because my goal was to get it as my app as low as possible. Granted, I have dependencies, but it got the puppy down.
We have different goals. Okay.
Yeah, it got the puppy down to 14 megabytes.
That's better. Because if you have those dependencies, you have no excuse. Like, your application code has to be small. I don't know what you're coding over. I mean, tiny clips, but like 14 megabytes of application code is actually quite a lot. So I hope that's including a bunch of PNGs also and things like that.
The biggest thing that's inside of here is I have like the community toolkit. It's probably going to add some overhead. I also have Microsoft Graphics Win2D, which is like all the 2D drawing stuff. Yeah.
Wait, so you're getting away with NCPU with Direct 2D in there?
That was like the very first build.
Oh, basically. Okay, that's gone. I'm sorry, I forgot already. Yeah, you turned that off. Yeah.
I'm also somehow using N Audio. I don't know what that is, and also Vortis Direct 3D 11 and Vortis DXGI. I have no idea what those are, but they're in my applications because someone decided.
Some dependency you picked up along the way. Some graph drawing thing. Yeah.
I'm going to look it up. I don't even know what it is.
Congratulations for getting down to 14. I mean, that's definitely reasonable. That's smaller than most fave icons. So, but my problem is, my whole thing was I wanted 0 dependencies. Yeah. And I get it. Most people have this thing installed. But like, my philosophy is, if you had that .exe, the app would run, whether you're on the internet or not. I'm very sensitive to like internet connections these days.
And the MSIX will also run if you bundle that all in there. So either the self-contained XE or the self-contained MSIX will work. Both of those work, which is kind of awesome, right? Mm-hmm. The nice thing about MSIX is it does automatic upgrade, versioning, all this other stuff. So it is pretty cool to do that. But again, I agree with you, because here's the problem. Is I tried to then take said MSIX, the one without the dependencies, into a Windows Sandbox, and it's like, no, bro, can't do it. And I was like, okay. So
you'll have to show me how you did that sometime. We'll have to talk sandboxes next time, because I would actually love to test it. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way of copying it to another machine. And I try to put a machine into like a pristine state where I'm like, I haven't installed anything on here.
It's a WSD file, Windows Sandbox something. Ask your agent to create it. It can create the file, and what it will do is when you click it, it will not only launch a Windows Sandbox, it will also then install your application automatically for you. So you can have a WSD file every single time for rapid testing. And then you can even have it execute the script for you after said builds, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Windows Sandbox is amazing. It's in the box. You have to turn it on in features and whatever. But once you turn on Windows Sandbox, there's an app on your machine called Windows Sandbox. And it is an instantaneous Windows Sandbox that can be spun up and torn down. So nothing is persisted. It's a sandbox that goes away when you close the window. But it boots up in literally seconds, and you have a full Windows environment. It's an admin mode thing. But because of that, some of the things aren't there, like this with the dependency resolution thing, because it's a sandbox.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So, but
that's
my
very cool.
my 100 meg thing totally worked.
Great. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. So it was a little bit of a rabbit hole for me, because like I said, I'm going to ship the app on that store. So, and it doesn't matter. The store is going to create a directory. It's going to dump all the files into it that it needs, all that stuff. And it's going to handle like the fat MSIX package and all that silliness. This was just me on a personal vendetta. I wanted to prove to myself, because we've had self-contained .NET forever now. I wanted to see a full GUI app properly self-contained with a bunch of dependencies and things like that. So I'm very happy for myself, because it's just my preferred way to actually distribute apps when I'm not selling them. It's just, here's an exe, it's guaranteed to work, no installer needed, just run it. You're good to go.
Yeah. Vortis.windows is a .NET binding for Direct 3D12, Direct 3D11, WIC, Direct 2D1, X input, X audio, X 3D audio, DXC, Direct 3D9, and Direct input. Dude, that's a good package.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm vaguely remembering, like, Microsoft used to ship .NET wrappers over the DirectX objects. I wonder if these are just new alternatives to all those then.
Yeah.
So it's probably just a bunch of COM interfaces, honestly, in there. It's probably not even that big.
Gonna sponsor this project right now. Amir in Italy, a fellow Italian.
Italiano.
Become a sponsor. I'm a sponsor. How do I? Oh, then I'm gonna have GitHub sponsors. How do I do it?
Yeah, I remember that day when Microsoft stopped shipping DirectX bindings. I'm like, the whole purpose of .NET was to interface with COM objects, and they took away the most common use case of Direct 3D. Silly. But hey, that Direct 2D thing, that's been really great. I've been enjoying that.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's so
pretty
good.
Smooth and fast. Pretty
super
decent rendering.
Yeah.
I haven't. Well, that's it. That's my fit and finish. I'm sure I'll have more by the time I actually release this app, but it was a really weird rabbit hole to go down. I'm just like, I want iCircuit.exe. Don't need it. I want it.
Yeah. I need it in my life. Well, I can install it anytime I give it a go. And by install it, I mean double click it and it opens. So I mean that is the nice thing about this self-contained exe is it's very like future proof. But I guess do you sign it? You don't have to sign it at all because you're just shipping it through the store where you'll do signing. I
specifically didn't sign it. I didn't want to deal with the certificate chain and all that stuff. So my normal build does all that signing junk. There's a bunch of certificates with my publisher ID and all that nonsense. This was me living from my old jobs that I used to have where no one had any rights to do anything, but for whatever reason, they could still put an executable on their computer. So none
Windows
of that
will yell at them.
Nonsense. Yeah.
Windows will be very upset with them, but they'll definitely be able to get through all the way. It still runs. They'll get it to run. All right. Well, let us know what your fit and finish is. If you have little tweaks, little things that you're like, I just want to adjust that little thing, right in the show. Go to youtube.com/@mergeconflict. Give us your deets. And by deets, I mean comments. Let's see if we got any comments. Well, we are currently at 914 subscribers. Now, I've been the same as last week, but we're getting ever closer in general. And we got all sorts of comments on there. If you like the comments, give the comments. It's good to go. I think one of the most popular, I'm going to do quick analytics here. I'll do this year of top viewed episodes. What do you think our top viewed YouTube video
I don't know. There's a funny bias on YouTube, so it's going to be our most negative episode probably. I think the algorithm loves negative episodes. So were any of our titles really negative?
No, we're all positivity over. Number one episode, almost 1,000 views, is Going Full Ralph CLI in the Copilot SDK, where we did the Ralph loop episode. The second one, though, here's a crazy one for you. Ready for this? Rectified Flow Revolution, where we 400 views.
Hey y'all, I can talk about more rectified flow next week. I'm literally training a rectified flow network right now. You might hear a back hum in the background. My 3090 is churning and it's hot outside and I have like a heater going on in this room.
Oh my gosh.
I am rectifying all the flows.
Well, if you're rectifying flows too, let us know on the YouTube. We appreciate it. Of course, go to mergeconflict.fm, like, subscribe to other things. That's going to do it for this week's Merge Conflict. So until next time, I'm James Magno.
And I'm Frank Kruger. Thanks for watching and listening.
Peace.